Lord, thank you for yet another day in your grace and blessings. Thank you for another day at the Colorado State Fair. We want to thank you for all the families who've sacrificed for and supported these exhibitors over the course of this past year. We lift up to you in gratitude all of our volunteers, superintendents, and individuals who have made this show possible. Lord, we want to thank you for the blessings you surround us with, and specifically the blessing that is American agriculture. We realize it is only by your will and grace that we can experience all of this. We ask for safety throughout all of State Fair as well as in our travels to and from home. Lord, place a spirit of goodwill, grace, and gratitude upon our hearts. We further ask for a spirit of humility and surrender, so that all we do be for your glory and your honor. Lord, protect all of the communities, first responders, and livestock affected by fires much like our very own. We pray for timely rains and ask for rest in these busy seasons. Lastly, we ask for guidance for our nation, state, and above all, ourselves. Lord, we yield all of these things to you and pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen. For our anthem, we have from Loveland, Colorado, Miss Rodeo, Colorado, Lindsay Fancher Rule.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Lindsay, for your incredible work and our incredible rendition of our national anthem. Before we start today's Junior Market Beef Show, we have a few people to recognize. Our superintendents, Kenny Burns and Eric Toft. Our ring steward, Kate Scott. Our webcasting, Laddie and Landry Treehall with ringsidelive.com. If you have family that would like to tune in from anywhere across this nation, please tune in at ringsidelive.com. For our photography, Beverly Englert. Please find your photos, if you'd like some, at beverlyenglert.com, as well as for our in-arena photographers, Katie Pieper and Brittany Randall. Our sponsors for today's show include the Colorado Livestock Association, the CSU Department of Animal Sciences, our friends at Zoetis, the Colorado Cattlemen's Association, the Colorado Gelbvieh Association, as well as the Colorado Simmental Association. Our judge for today is Blake Nelson of Platte City, Missouri. Blake is the Executive Vice President of the American Maine-Anjou Association. He grew up on a small eastern Oklahoman commercial cow-calf operation. As a junior exhibitor, he showed multiple breeds of cattle. He started his collegiate experience at Connors State College and finished at Oklahoma State University, where he was a member of a champion livestock judging team and worked with both the school's cattle operations. After graduation, he had the opportunity to go back to Connors in 2000 and be an instructor and livestock judging coach. From 2005 to 2015, he was the Connors State College Director of Farm Operations / our livestock coordinator position, which involved overseeing the bull test station, 250 head cow herd, a beef show team, and working with the nationally competitive livestock judging team. Blake has production experience working with many breeds. Personally, Mr. Nelson feels privileged to judge many shows per year. Some notable shows he has judged at include the American Royal, the North American, Cattlemen's Congress, the National Western, the Texas Majors, as well as Junior Nationals for most breeds. Personally, Blake and his wife Ruth have been blessed with 2 children, Paisley, 19, and Brigham, 15. His kids are very active in 4-H and showing cattle in Missouri. If you would, help me please welcome Mr. Blake Nelson to our Colorado State Fair.
Well, good morning. It's certainly a pleasure to be here. I've been looking forward to getting a chance to come and work with your kids and their cattle since I got the contact from Robin there. And guys, y'all couldn't have done a better job of ordering weather for today at any kind of cattle show. It's awesome out here and how it feels. And starting off in a great fashion here in our market heifer division. You know, the young lady's silver heifer comes out here, and she just, to me, dominates from a lot of areas. Not only is she one that's probably just right on in terms of just structural build, we come on up from there and think about market fundamentals. She's a heifer that has plenty of muscle. She's not the heaviest muscled, but I think she has plenty of muscle and combines that with enough finish and cover. But you study her just in her kind. You know, like I said, she's as sound as anything coming to the ground. I like her bone work. I like her depth of heart, her feeding capacity through her center body. And like I said, has enough dimension on the side. She proportions and balance. She's not as cool necked as some of these heifers out here. She's a little deeper necked and a little chestier, but still yet, that's being picky on one. I think gets out here and wins it quite handily. From there, there's a decision in 2 and 3. You know, the young lady's red heifer for me. She is one I really like in terms of just having some stretch, some extension, but you get over the top of her, feeds out with a lot of power out of the backside of her shoulder. I like her thickness from behind. She's big bone. Structurally, she's not ideal, but I think she still has an edge over the heifer in third. You know, this heifer, she's one of those, she just could be a little heavier yet. If we're going to make her compete with that class winner, you would just maybe just have her carrying just a nickel more cover, drop her net flank. But still a good heifer there. Like I said, I think just has a slight structural advantage, and I like the power she has. Young lady's black heifer we have in third. You know, from just a yield carcass standpoint, you've got to appreciate this female. She's another one that's really wide base. She's bold centered. She's thick top. A lot of dimension to her. Good job. She is one in terms of weight. She's obviously grown quite well and has some cover, but you can see she's almost gimpy there on that back left. Well, wanting to get out and go, could use a shot more foot, and I'd smooth her up on both ends. Young lady's a little black and white heifer coming out next. Really like her. I think the second soundest structured heifer in the class in terms of just how she gets around and goes. Young lady does a really nice job presenting her out here. That is a female you like from a balance standpoint. She just needs to have a shot more power and mass to compete that top trio of heifers. Young man's gray heifer coming out next. You know, he's done all he could with this heifer because, you know, relative to her build, her size, and her weight, he's got her right on in terms of finish. That's a heifer that has some muscle and dimension, but you can see there, just to me, too bound up structurally. Really wants to get a little straight up front, too tight in that hip. He'd like to relax her and see her go, but he did a great job getting the most out of that project. Let's give those kids a big round of applause, please.
Now entering the ring is our first class of market steers for the day, Class 1751 of our Junior Market Beef Show. Again, this is our first class of market steers, Class 1751 of our Junior Market Beef Show. Our previous class, the first class of the day, class 1701, placed as such. J.W. Berget in fifth. In fourth, Adrian Frost. In third, Blake Romine. In second was second in class, Carly Kristen. And for our first in class, Tressie Golding. Congratulations to our exhibitors.
Well, we get out in this class, without a doubt, these are the two high-quality calves in the pair or in this group. And I'll tell you what I see the difference is. The black steer right now, he's just a little more ready. Not only is he weighing a tick more, you get your hands on him, there's definitely more cover and finish, particularly over his mid-rib there. You even see the fill down through his flank and his chest there. I like that market readiness a little better. Along with that, he still has plenty of muscle and probably opens up just a shot wider right in there in terms of his center body. We turn him to the side. He's not as crazy necked as this steer in second, but I still think he's very balanced, very proportional, sure sound enough in the way he comes to the ground. To me, again, like I said, just maybe showing a little more maturity, a little more market readiness. That gave him the edge today. Young man's black and white steer, you know, that thing is high quality, good looking, really attractive, and has some muscle shape. Doesn't overwhelm you, but still some genuine shape to him. He's one that's sure sound enough on his feet and legs. Just still pretty bare yet in terms of just finish. He could be further along. That's one of those steers. I don't know if he has that opportunity, but holding him over, he's, to me, the ideal kind for that. But out here today, just wasn't quite ready for me in the market show today. Young lady steer we have in third and fourth. We're both really good calves. I think fundamentally both of them have enough muscle. Finish-wise, they're pretty good. Where they fall off is when we just look at them in terms of balance and how they're put together. Young lady steer we have in third, you know, that's a big-bodied, heavy-boned kind of a calf that I think still is smoother in his joints, handles his hind leg just a little better than that steer he beats today. Excuse me, good job. I like that steer in terms of having some cover, some body mass and shape. He's a little deeper chested, a little off from hooks to pins. You just pretty him up a notch, but I do like his neatness in his hock and the way he handles his pastern over this steer coming out. Just categorically, the steer coming out next may be the heaviest muscled calf in the class. He is bold shaped, he's expressive over his rib and loin, back through his hip and his quarter. Good job. You know, with that, just a little coarser and round build. You see the coarseness about his shoulder, his tailhead, and his hock. I'd sure like to free him up in his angle and put more foot underneath him. In terms of the red and white steer coming out next, to me, just a good practical kind of steer. He's good in his body shape. That steer's average in terms of muscle, structurally acceptable. Just, you know, no just outstanding pieces. A little more shoulder to him, not quite as neat from the side. He is one, like I said, needs a shot more power if we're going to move him up higher in this lineup. The young man's black and white steer coming out next has some intriguing pieces. That steer has some shape back through his quarter. He's really extended and high in his neck set up front. He's big boned, but he also runs into some problems. That steer's too straight in his hock. He's pretty bloated out here today and a little pinched in his heart. We'd like to just free him up, just soften him up, smooth him up in his overall makeup there. Young man's black steer coming out next. A calf that maybe has potential to come on in terms of just having some frame, some stretch. That steer has some bone. You know, just to me, wants to get a little too hard and shallow through that center body. Certainly just needs more time, more market readiness to be a player out here. He too could be smoothed up in the way he handles that hawk on the hind end. And then we have the gray steer wrapping up the class. Again, not a bad calf, just one that simply gets overpowered, just not quite ready there today. Still pretty green in his kind, but one that has some balance, has some proportion. Let's give those kids a big round of applause, please.
Now in the ring will be our third class of the day, Class 1752, Market Steers. Again, this is our third class of the day, Class 1752, Market Steers. From our previous class, our second class of the day, Class 1751 of Market Steers, we have our placings. In 8th place, Daughtry Allen. In 7th place, Kintrix Allen. In 6th place, J.W. Burgett. In 5th place, Hunter Sofa. In 4th place, Taylor Garner. In 3rd place, Brindle Reynolds. In 2nd place for second in class, Keith Page. And our first in class, Reese Elwood. Congratulations to our exhibitors.
Well, we get out in this class, and to me, a close pair of these top two. There's some give and take, so I'll just tell you what I see in them. To me, when you set them in motion and study their structure, that's where Spot has the edge. Along with that, this calf comes up, and I think he paints the best picture from the side. I like his neck set. I like the way his shoulders set in him a lot better. Not only is it tighter, he's better in the angle there, the way it comes in his knee. And the thing about it is, there is a slight muscle advantage maybe in the steer in second, but not much, because this steer still feeds out with a good top shape. He's good in his center rib. Like I said, I just like the way he's built. He's smoother in his tailhead, the way he has his hock and his pastern there. Just like a lot more pieces in that calf in terms of just what he brings the overall picture. And yes, the steer in second has a notch more muscle shape. I won't argue that with anybody. I totally agree with that, because over his rib and loin, he's expressive. You can even see it from the side. He has some shape back through that round. With that, though, this steer's pretty straightened out on those front two, kind of push to the outside of his skeleton. I'd like to tuck him in his shoulder and his tail head there and just see him go a little easier. But just in terms of power, you bet I like that steer, and still combine that with a cool neck set gives me an advantage. Those two steers to me kind of pair up as having just a little more frame and scope to them, a little more ideal for me in terms of having some market weight versatility. This white steer coming out next, you know, in this bunch, he's the outlier. To me, he's plenty early maturing. He's pretty low set the ground. He's a low rider. Now, is that steer good? Yes, he's a nice kind of steer. I'm not dogging him. He's wide based. He's big ribbed. Certainly probably the most market ready steer in the class in terms of finish. But yeah, you think about he's still not weighing just a ton of weight there. You see the shortness he has and compactness he has. I'd stretch him out, and still with that kind of just maturity, you might like to see a notch more real muscle shape as you get in and stay him through his quarter. The steer coming out next, that is a beautiful steer on the profile. He's up-headed. He paints you a great picture from the side. He's big bone. He's sound moving. But you get in behind him, that's where you're disappointed. To me, he just loses out too much in terms of muscularity and width and needs to have just a little more real body shape all the way through. Young lady steer coming out next. I appreciate the muscle shape in this calf. He has some dimension over his top and through his round. To me, just a little harder kind, a little straight up front, a little tighter through that rib cage, not quite as just big ribbed and easy feeding kind as maybe some of them. Young Mangello steer actually carries a nickel more finish than the one right in front of him. That calf has some body shape, just to me a little off in terms of his balance and quality. Simply gets overpowered in this tough class. Let's give those kids a round of applause, please.
Now to the ring is our third class of the day, Class 1752 of Market Steers. Again, this is our third class of the day, Class 1752 of Market Steers. You'll have to excuse me, this is actually our fourth class. Class 1753 of Market Steers. Our fourth class, Class 1753 of Market Steers. Our placings of the previous class, our third class of the day, Class 1752 of Market Steers, are as such. In sixth place, Trexton Allen. In fifth place, Sage Carnahan. In fourth place, Brock Welp. In third place, Gretchen Vermillion. In second place, for second in class, Adeline Lee. And our first in class, DM Shoup. Congratulations to our exhibitors from Class 1752 of Market Steers.
Well, we get out in this class, and really, to me, the first class was some true challenge up here because I think there's four extremely good steers. Each one of them has something they may excel the others at, but they also have some issues. We might change in them, and I'll just tell you kind of what I see in them. This black and white steer, you know, he's one of those when he hits the ring, he engages you. He gets him on the stand, and he lights you up in terms of just profile and look. Just to have one that, to me, has that kind of look and still feeds with enough power. It's hard to make them like that. You know, structurally, he maybe doesn't go as another calf or two behind him, but I deem him acceptable for me today. And I really like, I said, the look from the side, that's where he really excels, this red steer, just in terms of his neck set, chest, shoulder, way it comes in him, and that back through his tail head, just very attractive one there to lead off with. The red steer in second, I like him because he does have a little more link to him than the steer in third. I like the fact this steer has some genuine shape in his top through his rump. He's a big bone steer. He's obviously fed pretty good. You know, he's just not quite as neat when we stud him down through the base of his chest, his shoulder, the way he handles his pastern at time and his hind wheel. But again, that's a good kind of calf. I would take those all day long because he's very solid. Just maybe doesn't have that extra perk from the side, but a nice calf there. Young lady steer in third, you know, to have some muscle, I appreciate the flexibility in this calf off his back too. Those are parts I like about him. But with that being said, he's one of those, he's just a little different kind, just a little shorter and more compact in his kind, particularly up front. He gets a little short and thick in his neck, and the way he blends that shoulder blade, I'd just like to maybe stretch him out a bit. And I know that's an in vogue thing to make these things a little more compact and make them look cool, and I get that. But at the same time, I still like some cattle with a little more scope and stretch, especially in today's world. But that's a good steer. She done a great job presenting him. Just to me, a little more shoulder, a little short fronted, not quite as strong in his top line at times on the profile. Young lady steering forth, if we're just profile and structure judging them, this is the one. He is one that's, to me, balances up extremely well. He flexes and goes quite well. I like all those parts about him, but there's a reason why he goes like that. You get in behind him, he definitely loses out in terms of muscularity to those top trio cattle. Not a bad top in him, but he runs out of gas down low in his pants, and that's where you do just power him up through that quarter and through his stifle, because he does paint you a good silhouette. She's done a nice job with him. I just wish he had a shot more muscle for me. Young man's calf right behind her, another calf you can appreciate. You can tell that dude has some power to him. He's big backed, he's thick through his round, like all those parts. He's one that unfortunately probably shucked some hair, and that helped maybe some of his flaws show through a little more shoulder to him, not quite as neat up front. He's off from hooks to pins. He's one, too, you'd like to see him just get out and go with more freedom and trueness to his angles and flexibility. The gray steer that wraps up a class, that's not a bad calf. Young man's done a nice job feeding him out. That calf handles with the appropriate amount of finish. I like that market readiness about him. This calf for me was just a little off quality today, but still one he's done the best job he could with the feed bucket, and I appreciate that. Let's give these kids a big round of applause, please.
Now entering the ring is our fifth class of the day, class 1754 of our market steers. Again, this is our fifth class of the day, class 1754 of our market steers. Our previous class, Class 4 of the day, Class 1753 of our market steers, placed as such. In 6th, Paike Sonnenberg. In 5th, Trotter Thomas. In 4th, Marianne Fassett. In 3rd, Paisley Sidwell. In 2nd, with 2nd in class, Lexi Vara. And 1st in class, Ty Weathers. Congratulations to our exhibitors from Class 1753.
Really a good trio of steers here at the top end. I'll just tell you what I see in them. I think this top pair is very close. There's some give and take in the two cattle. This steer that walks up, places he excels, the way he comes to the ground, just to me, like the way he handles those front two a little better. But, man, he parks on the profile, and he's a cool-looking cat. Is he quite as big right behind his shoulder as the steer in second? He's not. I'll be the first to tell you, I think he's got enough muscle to have that edge today, because we get him on the profile and he just scorches them, and the way he's put together in terms of just neck set, top line, hip and hind leg, and the way he uses it when he goes, that's where he has the edge. The young man steering second, I don't want to take anything away from him. I like a lot about this calf. Like I said, he has a shot more power in behind his shoulder. He doesn't just overwhelm him in terms of muscle, but I think he has an edge. That's a good calf that's balanced. He's proportional. Like I said, I think he's just not quite as good in terms of just neck and shoulder, and maybe doesn't handle that back leg quite as free, but a give and take. Those are two good calves. I just like the one with a little more presence today. The steer we have in third on the stand, In terms of just stoutness and power, he can give them all they want. That is a big bone rascal that's wide-bodied. He's big-topped. He's thick-ended. But when we ask him to get out and go, he just gets a little wound up in terms of his hip set, his loin, a little tighter made, a little rounder through that shoulder. I'd like to smooth him up, ease him up in the way he goes when he gets out on the stride. Young man's black Bronco face steer coming out next. This is a calf that I like. Good job, bud. In terms of having some genuine dimension and power, he's one that you can appreciate him on the stand. We ask him to lead. You can see what I'm talking about. Just a little too straight on both ends. To me, rolled up a little more on his shoulder and the angle there. The red steer coming out, another steer fundamentally I like in terms of having some base width, some power, and some shape. He's one for me. He's just a little coarser built, not quite as neat in his top line. Sets him down pretty hard when he gets out on the stride. The next Bronco face calf, another one pretty attractive in terms of just neck set and look. I like those parts about him. He's one just to me a little hard in terms of his rib and his finish, a little tighter in the way he moves. And when you give a shot more muscles, you get him behind him. The red that wraps up the class, again, a calf that has some base width, some muscularity, and some feeding to him. He's one for me just a little off in terms of balance and quality, a little rougher through that front end, not quite as neat in his hip and his hind leg and the way he handles it on the go. Competitive class. Let's give those kids a big round of applause, please.
Now entering the ring is our sixth class of the day, Class 1755 of Market Steers. Again, this is our sixth class of the day, Class 1755 of Market Steers. Our previous class, the fifth class of the day, class 1754, placed as such. In sixth place, Lear Hansen. In fifth place, Brant Vollison. In fourth place, Cage Schweitzer. In third place, Owen Hockaday. In second place was second in class, Colton Hermes. And for our first in class, Cruz Weber. And in addition, in seventh place, Haley Ronich. Those were our placings from our fifth class of the day, class 1754 of Market Steers.
I tell you what, folks, it definitely heated up in this particular class. There's not a bad steer in the bunch, and this class is deep, and I'll just tell you what I see in them today. I like both these steers awfully well. If I could blend them together, we'd have an absolute beast. But I'll tell you kind of where I got to. The steer that leads off, that calf to me, he excels on the profile in terms of just build, his shoulder, particularly the way it comes in his body. And y'all probably figured out I like him to have just a little more stretch to him. He's neat in his chest. In terms of his top line, length of hip, the way his tail head sets in him, I like him quite a bit there. In terms of muscularity, there's enough power in that calf for me. You get your hands on him. There's some true shape behind his shoulder. He's not as heavy muscled as that steer in second. I'll be the first to admit that. But I think that steer has plenty, and I think he certainly has the edge when we turn him to the side. The steer in second, man, he is a stomper. He is wide-based. He is big bone, really big-hipped and powerful. I love all those parts about him. He's one with that, though, just a little rounder made. A little bolder and round in that shoulder. He's one of those that's just a little more compact in terms of length of back, a little rounder in his hip. And not to say he's not cool. I bet that was one impressive looking little baby that's proud-headed, proud in his neck set. And, with that power, that steer is still pretty solid on his feet and legs. The big thing for me is just staying consistent with what I like. I like them to be just a nickel smoother through their shoulder, a little more stretch. Good calf, great job with him. Those are two extremely good ones. Young lady steer in third, there's parts about him he can rival them because this calf is a longer-sided calf. This calf is one that has power, but when you ask him to lead, that's to me where he kind of comes apart in terms of just a little more upright in that shoulder, particularly when he moves out on his back too, really just kind of wants to bunch up in his loin and get tentative in the way he sets that hock and that hind wheel down on the stand. He's right there with him. That's a good calf, just structurally for me in a high quality kind of calf class, he shifts down to third for me. Young man steering fourth, that's an extremely good calf too. There's days that I'm sure he could be closer to the top than he is, but you study him, and that calf for me, from his shoulder back, I love that calf. I think he is big-backed, he's thick-ended, he's heavy-boned. You can see there a little straight, upright through that shoulder and that knee, the way he handles his front end, a little shorter fronted there. Good calf, high quality, certainly needs to be discussed here. The silver calf coming out next, another one on the stand, just a good meat and potatoes kind of a calf. He's big-bodied, he's fresh in his handle. I love that about him. He has some dimension. You can see structurally, though, gets a little rounder in the way he handles his shoulder and his hip. Maybe swings those back, too, just a little bit for me. I'd like to see him just go just a little more accurately there, but good kind of cattle without a doubt. The blue roan calf that wraps up the class, that's a calf that has some muscle shape to him, pretty expressive there, one that has some extension, a little too restricted for me in terms of his rib cage and his structure, but a highly competitive class. Let's give those kids a round of applause, please.
Now in the ring is our seventh class of the day, Class 1756 of our market steers. Again, this is our seventh class of the day, Class 1756 of our market steers. Our placings from the previous class, our sixth class of the day, class 1755 of our market steers, are as such. In sixth place, Colton Ronich. In fifth place, Braylon Lesky. In fourth place, Jack Crumley. In third place, Tatum DePorter. For second in class, Dylan Stone. And our first in class, Sean Roth. Congratulations to our exhibitors from class 1755. If we could have Mr. Marlon Eisenach to the announcer stand. If we could have Marlon to the announcer stand.
Well, we get out here in a very challenging class, and there's pieces and parts. And I'll just tell you what I see. The steer that leads off, he doesn't overwhelm, maybe in one regard, but there's nothing really wrong with him. There's some maybe a little cooler necked and this and that, but to me, a real proportional calf, and he's one of those calves with that. He is monster backed. He is really big out of the backside of his shoulder through his center body. You like the hip and hind leg he sets down. Structurally, that's where he has an edge over the spot. If we're just judging him on the stand, I love that calf. I just wish I could have got him to get out and go today a little bit. If he would just go a little bit and not stop propped out every time, he'd be winning the class, because I like a lot of pieces about him, but unfortunately his structure's not following suit with him right now. The black calf, like I said, just extremely solid. He's one of those that you like in terms of proportion. He's good in terms of muscle and finish, structurally pretty solid there. He's not quite as cool in the profile as the steer in second. I'll be the first to admit that, because these spotted ones, I appreciate the look he has, the extra neatness he has over the top side of his crest, his jawline, his neck. I like the true power he blends with that. That calf is plenty powerful enough. Like I said, you can see every time he stops, he wants to prop out in that front end. If we could have just got him to go a little bit, I'd have swapped that in a heartbeat, because I like that calf a lot. Young man's red steer, another one of those steers on the profile. He's one of those that catches your eye, because he is proud-headed, he is jack-necked, he's powerful in his muscle shape. I love all those pieces about him. This calf for me is a little straight in his hock. I tune on him in his chest and back through his tail head, where you'd see him compare to those top two from hooks to pins, not quite as square and even the way he lays them, but good calf, high quality, highly presented again. Young lady's black and white calf, another one of those. To me, he's one that's powerful, he's big-bodied, he's bold-built. With that, just off in terms of balance, a little deeper and coarser about his front end, the way he ties in terms of his neck there. He's one back through his hip and hind leg. You'd sure like to get him go and stride out a little easier. The gray steer coming out next, a good neck steer. He takes a pretty long stride. That calf has some muscle. As you get in behind him, you can see there, wants to pull up his loin, get a little tight spined. He's a little harsh right in behind his shoulder. You'd like to fill him in there. The black steer wraps up the class. That's good cattle. That's, to me, a larger frame, extended calf that's pretty sound in his feet and legs. Just runs out of gas in terms of muscle right in behind his blade and gets overpowered. Let's give those kids a round of applause on a very competitive class.
Now entering the ring is our 8th class of the day, Class 1757 of Market Steers. Again, this is our 8th class of the day, Class 1757 of Market Steers. of our previous class, the 7th class, class 1756 of our market steers. The placings were as such. In 6th place, Lena Kremley. In 5th place, Violet McQuaid. In 4th place, Adley Block. In 3rd place, Colby Morris. In 2nd place for our 2nd in class, Tegan DePorter. In our 1st in class, Tenley Becker. Congratulations to our exhibitors from class 1756.
Well, we get out in this class, and again, a nice pair of steers hit the top end. Both good cattle, certainly some give and take. The steer that leads off, he's one of those, man, he is out there in some ways. When he presents you that look from the side, you got to get excited about him. You step in behind him, and he doesn't give up any power. Really powerful with his top back through his hip and rump. I think you study him. You know, I'd be the first to tell you I'd like to open him up just a little bit in terms of his heart and his flank there down low, just to see just a little more market readiness and look. But that is a cool cat right there that hits you pretty hard from the side. Young man steer we have in second, good kind of cattle, big bodied, soft middled. He's one that has some thickness, doesn't have the power of our class winner, but certainly merits being up here at the top end. He too is one that maybe does just get a little tighter in the way he goes out of his hip. Big thing for me, I'd like to tune him up through that chest and that shoulder and his neck, that waddle underneath his neck, because I do like the rib cage neck cap. But like I said, that class winner is not only better looking, he's got more true powers to get him behind him. That gave him the edge today. The young man steer we have coming out next, that's a big boned, big bodied kind of a calf there that's pretty sound on his feet and legs. He don't have quite that overall dimension over his rib and loin. Those top two cattle, that's the big thing for me. If I could just power him up a shot, he'd be competing with that top duo today. The red steer's one that does have that kind of power. He is wide-based, he's bold-bodied, really thick. You can see the muscle in his top from the side. That's impressive. But with that, you know, just a little tight around, a little rougher in his shoulder, a little tight in the way he handles his spine and back through his hip. I love the mass. I love the dimension. I'd just like to neaten him up in his overall kind. Young lady's black steer coming out, another calf you can appreciate for having some look from the side. He's a big bone steer that has, to me, some top side width. Gets a little, runs out of gas down low in terms of his back through his twist and his stifle there. He's one that comes at us pretty straight up on those front two. The red steer wrapping up the class, that's a cool looking calf. He's one that's big boned. He's plenty flexible on the go. He's got a nice look from the side. Unfortunately, just a little too narrow made and restricting that rib cage. We'd like to open him up to make him tougher with this group of heavier weight steers. Let's give those kids a round of applause, please.
Now in the arena is our ninth class of the day. Our ninth class of the day, class 1758 of our market steers. Again, this is our ninth class of the day, class 1758 of our market steers.
Well, we get in this class these heavier weight steers, and again, you get them to this weight, this age, parts and pieces can kind of come apart on you, but to me, the black steer that leads off is probably held together the best. Not only with that, you know, that calf is one that has some looks, some presence. He's big boned, he's flexible on the go. There's enough power in him. He's not quite as thick through his rump as maybe that yellow steer that follows him, but definitely better in terms of structure. That steer handles pretty solid. In terms of finish, just to me, he gets up here because he's still held together the best and has some presence about him. Young man's yellow steer, you know, I'll be the first to tell you I like the burliness, the stoutness, the bone, the muscularity, and dimension of this calf. He handles really smooth to the touch, and you can see standing there or walking, he's just a little too straight on both ends, and certainly see that extra maturity about his head. But if we just change his structure up, I think he gets up here at the top pretty quick. Young man's gray steer coming out next, another just good solid kind of calf for me. That's the one left in the lineup that to me combines true muscularity with enough market readiness and body mass. He too doesn't move perfect on those back two, but that is a calf that's bold-centered and thick-ended, just maybe gets a little plainer, not quite as heavy boned as those top two cattle. The calf coming out next, I think probably had potential at one time to be awfully good. He's got a nice look to him. That steer has some topside power, just a little harder in terms of his forerib and his finish, not quite as easy going there off both ends. The Brockle face steer we have coming out next, again, just a good, useful kind of a steer, big-bodied, sound-structured. I think he said that thing weighed 1640. It grew awfully well. You know, just a little plain in terms of his profile, but I do appreciate his usefulness in terms of kind. The steer that wraps up the class, that's a calf that's got a nice neck set to him, has some dimension up high, runs out down low, and gets a little narrow-based and restricting his kind, but a good class of heavyweight steers. Let's give those kids a round of applause, please.
With the conclusion of our ninth class, Class 1758, we will then move into our grand drive at 11:40 p.m. a.m., sorry. Again, we will convene again for our market beef grand drive at 11:40 a.m. from our 8th class, Class 1757 of the Market Steers. Our placings were as such. In 6th place, Tenley Weathers. In 5th, Maddie White. In 4th, Wade White. In 3rd, Camden Whelp. For our 2nd in class, Bradley Ermis. In our 1st in class, Cash Pratt. Of our 9th class, Class 1758 of the Market Steers, our placings were as such. In 6th place, Colton Phillips. In 5th place, Zachary Mayer. In 4th place, Tyson Johnson. In 3rd place, Barrett Vollison. For our 2nd in class, Tristan Hastings. In 1st in class, Bristol Wesky. Congratulations to our exhibitors from classes 1757 and 1758. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your Junior Market Beef Grand Drive for the 2026 Colorado State Fair. Before we start, we'd like to recognize our superintendents, Kenny Burns and Eric Toft, our ring steward, Kate Scott. If you have family wanting to tune in at ringsidelive.com. And for photos, please check beverlyenglert.com. As a reminder, our judge will be Blake Nelson from Platte City, Missouri. Now entering the ring will be our second in class from our market beef shows. That includes Kristen Carly of Keensburg, Colorado. Carly Kristen of Keensburg, Colorado. Keith Page of Akron, Colorado. Adeline Lee of Monument, Colorado. Lexi Vara of Nunn, Colorado. Colton Hermes of Fort Morgan, Colorado. Dylan Stone of Eaton, Colorado. Tegan DePorter of Briggsdale, Colorado. Bradley Hermes of Fort Morgan, Colorado. And Tristan Hastings of Castle Rock, Colorado. These are your second in class of the Colorado State Fair Junior Market Beef Shows. Again, could we have a round of applause for our second in class exhibitors? And now, for our first in class, for our grand drive. For our first in class of our Market Beef Grand Drive, we have from Wild Horse, Colorado, Dressie Golding. From Norwood, Colorado, Reese Elwood. From Iliff, Colorado, DM Shoup. From Yuma, Colorado, Ty Weathers. From Amherst, Colorado, Cruz Weber. From Greeley, Colorado, Sean Roth. From Holyoke, Colorado, Tenley Becker. From Pueblo, Colorado, Cash Pratt. And from Durango, Colorado, Bristol Lesky. Ladies and gentlemen, your Market Beef Grand Drive. We would like a moment to recognize our Colorado State Fair Board of Commissioners. Individuals here with us today include Darius Allen, Renee Brown, Tom Downey, Greg Colomitz, and John Singletary. Thank you again for your hard work from this past year into our livestock shows and our youth exhibitors.
Well, we get out here in the Champion Drive, folks, and I would tell you it's truly been an honor and pleasure to be here today. We didn't have just a ton of numbers, but man, the quality has been extremely good. We just had those reserves circle through. I know several of those classes had maybe steers in third that on any given day or even maybe down the road might be at their best that are high quality. And we get out here in our Champion Drive, and it's like I was telling people, it's like I don't have a favorite yet. I've got the ones, that won their classes, and I think they merited doing that, but I wanted to see them all out here together again and try to work through it. And working through these shows, hopefully you could follow me. Sometimes, there was cattle that I might have liked it better in a spot or two, but I tried to stay as consistent as I can with what the class brings me and the kind that I like. And I like steers that, to me, have enough power and shape. They are market animals. They have an adequate amount of finish and weight to go with that. Then on top of that, I do want them to look like show steers. We got a halter on them for a reason, to have some look and some eye appeals, some stretch to them, and then structurally they sure have to be acceptable. And I try to find the ones that put that together for me, and that's a tall order. I'm not naive enough to realize you guys that are raising them, feeding them, and taking care of them, it's hard to put all those things together. But I feel like it's my job to try to find the one I think puts the most good together and get them up here. And I would tell you, the kids have been outstanding. And before I go any further in the speech, let's give the kids a big round of applause, all the ones that exhibited out here today. I am happy that I do get to pick a top 5 because I think there's that kind of depth in this show and how they hit me and they fit me. I would tell you that before we get too long, I'm not a huge speech giver. I'll tell you, if anybody knows me, I love these kids and I love cattle, two of my most favorite things in the world, and feel blessed to get to go and judge shows. And the job I do every day, also have that opportunity to work with kids and beef cattle. Since I've been a junior, that's something that, I grew up with commercial cattle and started showing there in FFA, and that opened a whole wide world to me when I started judging and getting to go to college and see things and go places I never dreamed I'd ever go. And I've been very blessed and fortunate. The good Lord has put the right people in my lives to steer me and believe in me. And some of my biggest fans that I have that let me go do what I do is my family, my wife, my daughter Paisley, son Brigham. Paisley's off to college now, but the other two hold down the fort, and I get to run around and do this kind of thing. And I wouldn't be where I am today without them, and I'm so grateful for that. And that leads me to something that I really want you kids, if you could take something from me out here today, is, every day you get up and you have a choice to make. And it's one of those things I've told my kids, you can either be a blister, which isn't ever very fun and painful, or you can go and be a blessing to somebody. I hope each day you get up and you decide to be a blessing, because I promise you, if you can bless others, you'll have a rich and full life, and I hope you will approach the rest of your lives with that. I'd like to say thank you to the Colorado State Fair, Robin, her crew. Marlon is a great tour guide, and all the folks that get these cattle here and get them set up and keep them coming and help you guys out. Let's give them a big round of applause for all their efforts. Like I said, I still get out here, and I think it's been an extremely deep show. And I would tell you some of the cattle that I think are extremely good might have been a little green yet, so it'll be neat to see if they go on and how they hold together. I've got a few cattle in mind that I think sift to the top. I still want to make one more pass before I show you my champions, but I would tell you thanks again for having me. Great job, kids. Great job, families. Keep this in perspective. We're out here raising kids. These cattle are just our vehicle, so it's competitive, and that's part of the game. I don't care if we're flipping quarters. I'm going to go at it hard too, but remember why we're doing this, and it's just one man's opinion. I'm going to like the cattle for sure, my top 5, and what I end up with. I think they could go and compete about any state fair. Before I go show you my top 5, if you would, let's give these kids a big round of applause, please.
Your grand champion market beef animal, exhibited by from Sean Roth of Greeley, Colorado. He will be receiving a buckle and trophy from the Colorado Livestock Association, as well as a traveling trophy by the CSU Animal Sciences Department, awarded by Dr. Patrick Doyle and Case Leroy, our new livestock judging coach. Your reserve grand champion market beef animal, exhibited by Tenley Becker of Holyoke, Colorado. She will receive a buckle from Zoetis, a trophy from the Colorado Cattlemen's Association, and a banner from the Colorado State Fair Authority. Congratulations, Tenley. Entering now. Your third overall market beef animal is exhibited by Cruz Weber of Amherst, Colorado. Cruz will receive a banner from our friends at Zoetis. Your fourth overall market beef animal, exhibited by Cash Pratt of Pueblo, Colorado. Cash will receive a banner from our friends at Zoetis as well. Congratulations, Cash. Your fifth overall market beef animal, exhibited by Dylan Stone of Eaton, Colorado. Dylan will also receive a banner by Zoetis. Congratulations to all of our market beef exhibitors, and for another hard year of work. As we exit, another large thank you to our friends at Northeastern Junior College, alongside their livestock judging team and coach, Callum Carnahan. our friends at West Texas A&M University, their livestock judging team, and their coach, Michael Simler, as well as individuals that assisted during show at the Colorado State Fair. From Colorado State University, Cody Garcia, Dane DeVries, Allie Locke, and Brooklyn Henschel, as well as a special thank you and announcement of Case LaRoe, the new Colorado State University Livestock Judging Team Coach. Thank you again to all of our sponsors as well as the Colorado State Fair Board of Commissioners.